going. I'm still not very good at this whole live thing. There we go. Oh, it looks like we're having connection problems. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay. Anyway, I thought I'd just make a little video about what kind of hymnals we like to sing from. Every morning, one of our favorite things to do as a family is to get together and sing praises to the Lord before we start our day. And it just really, it gets us started off on a much better note than we do when we forget, like when we get busy and caught up in different things in life, or our schedule gets thrown off. Or like recently how we moved, and so our schedule has been a little thrown off with that. And so we notice when we miss singing hymns together, the whole day goes differently. But we love to do that first thing in the morning. We gather together at the piano and just start singing and worshiping the Lord together, and it really brings us closer together as a family and closer to the Lord as we're worshiping Him together. And we like to do it at the piano. Sometimes we'll add the guitar, banjo, fiddle, and it's just really, really a joyful time together. But yeah, so we like to sing hymns from a lot of different hymnals, but we just wanted to share our favorites since one of you was asking. So yeah, we've got them from a bunch of different denominations. Here's one that isn't from a particular denomination, but it has some nice music. The Methodist hymnal. We've got an older Latter-day Saint one. I'm not sure what year this is from. I don't think it says, but it's got some nice ones in it too. What I really want to get is Emma's hymnal, the one that Emma Smith compiled for when for the first years of the Restoration. Here's a Baptist hymnal we have. But one of our very favorite hymnals that we have is these Baptist ones. I really like that they're so big. We got a whole bunch of the same ones so that we can all sing them together. But and you can see how many we have marked, because it's just got so many of the best hymns in here. So that's why this is probably our favorite. It's kind of hard for us to decide, but we really love this one because it has so many of the best ones. And you know, sometimes you'll go to a church and they'll have the band playing and some of the newer songs, which some of them I like. I do feel like a lot of them are just really focused on ourselves and what we can get from God and how good He makes us feel and that kind of thing. But I really love these older hymns because they're more focused on praising God, minds toward Him and away from ourselves. Oh, it says it's reconnecting again. I don't know if we have good internet right now. It keeps popping up. So forgive me if this is cutting out or something. But anyway, so yeah, it's got some of our favorites like Jesus Paid It All, Nothing But the Blood, Amazing Grace, Come Thou Fount. Let's see, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. So it's pretty thick and it's got a whole bunch of them. So these are ones that we really like. And they also have a really nice piano version, if you have a piano, to sit at the piano, like this big hefty thing. But it's the same version of the Baptist hymnal, this particular one at least. And they're all in the same order. This one is just really nice for the piano. It's just massive. And let's see. Yeah, so I just noticed that it makes a huge difference in our day when we start off singing and praising the Lord together. And but not only that, we also do it in the evenings. We like to get together and end our day together, thinking of the Lord again and turning our minds to Him. And it also helps us a lot. Sometimes when we're going through a rough time, then we'll all sing together just throughout the day. Like, okay, are we struggling here? And if we can, maybe some of us are gone or doing different things with our jobs. But if we're struggling, then we'll get together in the middle of the day spontaneously and just but the best time to praise going through hard times. And praise is the best cure for when you're overwhelmed and feel like you just don't know how to go on with life or how to bear up under your trials. But praising the Lord, it just reminds us of all that He's done for us and how good and faithful He's been in the past, and why wouldn't He continue to be so good to us? And it can get really easy especially when we're singing these older hymns that we've sung so many times, to we just get in the habit of singing them and we're not thinking of the words. But for me, when I think of the words and really focus on them, it really changes your attitude, especially if you're singing it not just to sing it, but to sing it for God, because He says that where two or three are gathered together in His name, He'll be there in the midst of us. And we definitely do this when we're singing. And so I like to try to remind myself to Him, and then we're making a connection with Him, and it's just really beautiful. And another thing I like to think of is what inspired people to write these words. Like, one of my favorites is "Be Thou My Vision," where it says, "Riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only be first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou art." Just, what richness there is in those simple words to remind us that it's not what we have here on this earth. We're just pilgrims and strangers here on this earth, and we won't carry a lot with us, but He is our treasure. And if we have Him, then we're rich. But yeah, the people who wrote these hymns wrote them because they had struggles, they had blessings, they experienced joy and incredible experiences with God, and also trials and hardships and doubts. And so that's just another thing I like to think of when we're singing these hymns, is just, wow, what would inspire such beautiful and profound words? What kind of real human experience came from this? But so, yeah, this is probably our favorite, but I don't know, a really close second is the Songs of Zion. We really love these ones too. And the reason it's hard for us to decide is because both of these are so unique and so special in different ways. So, but the Songs of Zion are really unique in that they a bunch of different people who came up with the words themselves. The music actually came as a gift from God to a woman who wasn't musically inclined at all, or very musically experienced. So her name was Arlene Buffington, and she just received these songs as, God gave them to her as a spiritual gift, the music in her mind. And so she had to find someone else to help her transcribe it and stuff, and it happened over a period of decades. Hope. I don't know how else to describe it, but singing them just infuses you with this tremendous joy and trust in the Lord and assurance of His real love and connection with us. So I just want to read you the lyrics of one of my favorites of these songs, called "Come All Ye That Thirst." So this one, I'll just read the first verse. It says, "My Father looks down on a dry, dying nation, extending His hand to all who pass by. And I hear Him call out, 'Can there be any thirsty? This cup if ye drink, ye never need die. Come all ye that thirst. There's no need to perish. My Father has wells that never run dry. He has cool mountain streams. He has free running water. He has rivers of life, and there's no need to die.'" So the reason this is one of my favorites is because growing up, I really struggled knowing if God really, and if I could really get to heaven. I tried so hard and tried to be obedient and to do my best and be a good girl. But I always just had this tremendous fear that I could never be enough. And which is true, I can't be enough. Um, and it wasn't for a long time that I learned that, like the Book of Mormon says, Lehi speaking to his son Jacob, and he tells him, I know that you are saved because of the righteousness of your Redeemer. Like he'd just been talking about how Jacob would spend his life and all his years in the service of God, but he says, you are saved because of the righteousness of your Redeemer. Um, and that's a real comfort to me that I want to be obedient to him. That he is he is I'm saved because he is good, not because I am. I can't be enough even when I'm trying to do my best. Um, but he loves me because he is good, not because I even deserve it sometimes. But that's what really stood out to me about this hymn. He said, "There's no need to perish." Um, anyway, so and then yeah, just a bunch of the other ones are just so encouraging, reminding us to that we can be satisfied because we have the Lord, and the promise of the gathering of Israel and everything like that. Even if we don't see Zion right now, and peace on earth and goodwill among men and our Lord reigning in everyone's hearts, um, it's just these songs are full of encouragement to trust in the Lord's promise. That's really going to happen. So I just really love these ones. But um, feel free to comment and let us know what your favorite hymnals are. I can't see the live stream right now. I don't know if the live chat is going. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at this. So I hope I'm not ignoring anything that anyone's saying. But um, we are still collecting hymnals. We love hearing new ones. When you've sung the same ones so many times, you can just get in this routine and you're not really thinking about the words. But that's why we love to explore different hymnals from different denominations. Even if we disagree with a little bit of the theology in some of them, we'll just change the words or adapt them with our own lyrics. Um, but yeah, we love to hear new ones that make us think in different ways about the goodness of God and His promises. And so yeah, we'd love to hear if any of you have any other suggestions. And there's some really good ones from other countries too. Like um, there's one I'm thinking of from Sweden called Blotendal. For a second, sorry. It was telling me there's no connection, then it stopped, but it looks like it's going again. Oh, Parker Jacob says, I love Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Me too. Yeah, that was another one that I didn't think about the words for a long time, but just the other day, actually, I was going through them in my mind and thinking how powerful they are, because the music's so beautiful and we hear it so many times, but that's a really good one. Um, but yeah, when Nephi is on the ship and he has so many reasons to fear, he's just praising the Lord, he says. And you think about Paul and Silas in prison, and it's nighttime and they're praising God and the other prisoners are hearing that. And so what a blessing it was, even though through their trial of being thrown in prison and experiencing that others were blessed by hearing them sing praises to. So they dressed her in the clothes, beat her, and then they dragged her while her face was facing away so that he couldn't see that it was his wife, and dragged her down the hall past his cell. And he saw her and he thinks it's his wife, and he's just in anguish and so worried. And they took her to a cell down the hall and tortured her for 2 days. And so for 2 days, he's hearing her screams as she's being tortured. And he thinks this is his wife. And he's in anguish and it messes him up. Finally, they kill her and they drag her body back across in front of his cell, her head facing away so that he can't see it, that it's her. And at this point, he's just broken. And he says, okay, I'll sign the thing. I'll deny my faith. And so they say, okay, we're coming tomorrow morning. But that night he has a dream. I can't remember his voice speak to him and his children too, who he left behind. And it was communicated to him that they were still alive. So he wakes up just, filled with joy and resolution again. He sings his heart song to the Lord. The guards come and he says, "Actually, I'm not going to sign it. And I heard my wife's voice, and I know that you're lying to me." And so they get really mad and they say, "Okay, you're done. We're going to take you out to the courtyard and you're going to be executed right now." So they grab him and they start dragging him out. And the other prisoners see him being dragged, and he's been there for months. I don't remember if it was months or years, but he's been there a long time, and he's sung this song every morning. And they hated him, they booed him, they threw stuff at him. Um, for singing this song. But as they're dragging him out to take him to his execution, the other prisoners came to the doors of their cells, and they'd heard the songs of praise so many times that they had it memorized too, and they all started singing it together. And so the the guards are just shocked and amazed, and they let go of him, and they turn to him and say, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm a son of the one true God, and his name is Jesus Christ." And they let him go free. It was just a miracle. Um, so that's that's another amazing story about the power of praising God. And one more that I wanted to tell really fast was Charles. But he was actually on his way to on a ship to Georgia to go preach the gospel to people in Georgia. This was in the 1730s, I think. The 1700s at least. I think it's the 1730s specifically. But he was on a boat with a group of German missionaries, and they ran into a storm as well. Just this storm, and waves are crashing over the decks. And the other English people on board are all screaming. They're scared for their lives. And but John Wesley looked at these missionaries and their families, and he noticed something different about them. They they were just calmly singing and praising the Lord, and he said he had an opportunity to see if they were really delivered from the spirit of fear, as he called it. And so he watches as this huge wave breaks over the ship, and the mast was broken in two. And it didn't faze them. They just kept calmly singing praises to the Lord. And so afterwards, he went over and talked to them, and he was asking them, "Were you not afraid?" And one of the men said, "No, we weren't afraid, because they had such humility and trust in their God." And he said, "Well, weren't your women and children afraid?" And the man said, "No, our women and children are not afraid to die." And so John Wesley went over to the other English people who had been screaming and afraid, and he pointed to the German missionaries and their families and said, "This is the difference between those who fear God and those who fear them not." Um, but anyway, it makes me wonder if God delivered those people specifically because of the attitude and the worship of those missionaries and their families. But I don't know. But anyway, we'd love to hear any hymns or hymnals that you love to sing from. Doesn't matter what denomination they come from. Please feel free to share so that others can be blessed by them. And I'll share a link to the playlist of the hymns that some of our favorite hymns that we've sung together, and a couple of other channels that we really love that have just beautiful hymns about our favorite hymnals. And